What's up guys, I'm Dave Klein and welcome back to my Dark Souls lore series. Today we're going to talk about the character who is arguably the most influential towards your quest as the chosen undead. As the puppeteer behind several aspects of your quest, it's time to talk about Gwyndolin. To start, we need to begin with Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight who ruled over Anor Londo. Gwyn had 3 children, a firstborn son and god of war who inherited the sunlight from Gwyn, a daughter, Gwynevere, the Princess of Sunlight, who is cherished by all, and a last-born son, Gwyndolin. Gwyndolin set tells us the power of the moon was strong in Gwyndolin, and thus he was raised as a daughter. In fact, Gwyndolin seems to not only have been raised as a daughter, but resembles one too. Yes, those are boobs. And while Gwyndolin was raised as a daughter for his affinity to the moon, he was also shunned by the family. In order to honor the lords of Anor Londo, statues were constructed. These include a large statue of Gwyn standing tall amongst his children. On his right, a missing statue of his eldest son, whose foolishness led to a loss of the Nulls and rescinding of his deific status. And on Gwyn's left, his beloved daughter Gwynevere. And yet, amongst these statues, amongst these honors, there lies no mention of Gwyndolin. At first glance, Gwyndolin could not even exist. He's never mentioned, there are no statues honoring him, and he is a complete shadow over Anor Londo. And yet, it would seem Gwyndolin yearned for his father's love. Gwyndolin is found guarding over Gwyn's tomb, where he dons his crown of the dark sun, which tells us the image of the sun manifests Gwyndolin's deep adoration of the sun. As time moved forward and the Age of Fire came to a close, Gwyn left to sacrifice himself to extend the age, and soon all deities would leave Anor Londo, all except for one. The Dark Sun Gwyndolin is the only remaining deity in Anor Londo. His followers are few, but their tasks are of vital importance. Gwyndolin stays behind in Anor Londo, where he oversees the blades of the Dark Moon and the Dark Moon Covenant.
O disciple of the Dark Sun, thou hast journeyed far. Hear my voice. If thou shalt swear by the covenant to become a shadow of Father Gwyn and Sister Gwynevere, a blade that shall hunt the foes of our lords, then I shalt protect thee, safeguarding thy person with the power of the Dark Moon.
Like Gwyndolin, followers of his covenant are asked to become shadows. These blades of the Dark Moon hunt down the guilty, and according to the Dark Moon Seance Ring, their task is of vital importance. They are given a blue eye orb in order to complete this, where they invade the world of a player in the Book of the Guilty and subdue that player to acquire a souvenir of reprisal. These mystical orbs are granted to blades of the Dark Moon Knights who serve the Dark Sun Gwyndolin, so that they may serve the gods in meting out vengeance. By leveling up in Gwyndolin's covenant, players will learn the Dark Moon Blade Miracle. The power of the rays of the Dark Moon are manifested in vengeance, and the deeper the animus, the more devastating the attack. These sinners that Gwyndolин's blades hunt down are determined by the Book of the Guilty. The goddess of sin Velka oversees the list of the guilty who have disrespected the gods of the covenants, and shall one day face the wrath of the blades of the Dark Moon. While Gwyndolin seems to be staying in Anor Londo to look over his covenant in the shadows, there's a far more vital reason he remains: to manipulate the chosen undead into linking the fire. The Ring of the Sun Princess tells us, the Princess of Sunlight Gwynevere left Anor Londo along with many other deities and later became wife to flame god Flann. And yet, players receive the Ring of the Sun Princess from Gwynevere herself for joining her covenant, the Princess Guard. So, who gave you that ring? The Dark Moon Blade Covenant ring tells the answer. Gwyndolin, all too aware of his repulsive, frail appearance, created the illusion of his sister Gwynevere, who helps him guard over Anor Londo. An unmasking of these deities would be tantamount to blasphemy. It would seem Gwyndolин's Dark Moon powers don't only manifest themselves into powerful sorceries, but also illusions. He has created an illusionary sister to trick visitors. Finding Gwyndolin requires wearing the Dark Moon Seance Ring in order to remove an illusion blocking the path to Gwyn's tomb, and even Anor Londo itself is under an illusion. By destroying the illusion of Gwynevere, Gwyndolin will angrily call out to the undead and lift the veil off Anor Londo.
Thou that tarnisheth the Godmother's image, I am Gwyndolin, and thy transgression shall not go unpunished. Thou shalt perish in the twilight of Anor Londo.
Gwyndolin sets various blades of the Dark Moon on the chosen undead, all while lifting the multiple illusions off of Anor Londo. The guards, demons, and sun all disappear, and the once radiant Anor Londo becomes a depressed moonlit vista. What's more is, as Guinevere was revealed to be Gwyndolin's illusion, everything Guinevere has said and done has to be coming from Gwyndolin.
Since the day Father is formed it obscureth, I have awaited thee. I bequeath the Lord vessel to thee, and beseech thee. Succeed Lord Gwyn, and inheriteth the fire of our world.
Gwyndolin, talking through Guinevere, gives the chosen undead the Lord vessel, and, failing to mention the whole sacrificing yourself to the flame thing, attempts to manipulate the undead into succeeding Gwyn as an heir. In doing so, we also learn Gwyndolin has been planning this with Fromp's aid.
Please, Father's role thou should assume, and inheriteth the fire of our world. Thou shalt endeth this eternal twilight, and avert further undead sacrifices. Kingseeker Frampt, the primordial serpent, shall guideth thee.
Yet another interesting note is that Gwyndolin, controlling Guinevere's illusion, would also seem to be the real one in charge of the Princess Guard, and thus controlling two covenants of the game. So we know that Gwyndolin, along with Frompt, are responsible for the undead's mission to succeed Lord Gwyn, but several questions still remain surrounding Gwyndolin. For one, why would he aid in extending the Age of Fire after being shunned by his father Gwyn? While this is the case, Gwyndolin guards his father's tomb, and the only time he will directly attack the player is for trespassing.
Halt! This is the tomb of the great Lord Gwyn. Tarnished it shall not be by the feet of men.
Gwyndolin's Crown of the Dark Sun tells us the image of the sun manifests Gwyndolин's deep adoration of the sun. He even creates an illusionary sun to make his father's city, Anor Londo, still look glorious. I believe Gwyndolin has a deep-seated want for his father's affections and respect. Even after Gwyn's departure, Gwyndolin is still trying to do what he believes would make his father finally be proud of him. Interestingly, Velka is known for dealing justice, whereas Gwyndolин's blades are described as meting out vengeance. But why is Gwyndolin so focused on vengeance? Is it perhaps his chance as a frail and often stepped on character to feel powerful and step on others? Or is there something else behind it? The Dark Wraiths could be considered an opposite covenant to the Dark Moon Blades, and as their mission is to begin the Age of Dark, perhaps this vengeance is to strike down those who would try to end the Age of Fire. If you'd like to see more about Velka and her relationship with Gwyndolin, go ahead and watch my Velka lore video where I discuss in detail some of the interesting correlations the two have. Yet another question arises from Gwyndolin's Blade of the Dark Moon, the Dark Moonnightis. Her brass set tells us, after becoming undead, she visited the Dark Sun Gwyndolin at the Mausoleum of the Spiral Depths, became a Blade of the Dark Moon, and assumed the flame-keeping duty. She received this helm which hides her hideous form and helps her hunt the guilty. This seems to imply that she may have become a Firekeeper after visiting Gwyndolin. So does this mean Gwyndolin has the ability to create Firekeepers, or was the Dark Moonnightis already a Firekeeper to begin with? It does seem like Gwyndolin would understand and empathize with the plight of Firekeepers, who are known to be hideous in some way, as he considers himself to be frail and repulsive. And speaking on that, what's with Gwyndolin's lower half? His legs seem to consist of various serpents holding him up. Was he experimented on by the likes of Seath and, like the Picasas, now has a serpent-esque lower half? Or, as YouTuber TerraMantis suggests, is this perhaps another illusion to make himself look more intimidating? Serpents are an interesting choice because according to the various covetous serpent rings, the serpent is an imperfect dragon and symbol of the undead. So, what is the son of Lord Gwyn doing with leggings of an imperfect dragon and the symbol of the undead? And speaking of Seath, another indication that Seath may have experimented on Gwyndolin is within the Moonlight Butterfly. The Moonlight Butterfly being akin to Gwyndolin both in their affiliation with Moonlight and also in the spells they cast. And let's not forget that they share the same music when fighting them. Another interesting correlation with Gwyndolin is in the moonlight-coated painted world of Ariamis, which also just happens to be located right above Gwyn's tomb and where Gwyndolin resides. I think it's possible that Gwyndolin is behind the painted world in some way. While Ariamis created the world, perhaps Gwyndolin oversees it. Our final view is of Priscilla basked in moonlight. Does this perhaps tell us something? And finally, the most vital question of all. Who came up with the idea to shepherd the chosen undead into linking the flame? Gwyndolin could have come up with the idea as a way to extend his father's era, and then partnered with Frompt in order to achieve this. Or, alternatively, as the primordial serpents are known for their deceptions, Frompt could have manipulated Gwyndolin into this scheme himself. What do you guys think? Alright, that wraps up this Dark Souls lore video. I know this video posed a lot of questions without clear answers, and I think a lot are up for interpretation, but nonetheless, I think Gwyndolин's a vital character to cover. If you're interested in more videos about Gwyndolin, I highly recommend checking out TerraMantis' Gwyndolin lore video, seen through the perspective of Gwyndolin. As always, let me know your interpretations and thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.